What's up, guys? So in this video I'm going to talk about the block printing, linoleum cutting. So this is a piece of polyvinyl whatever, and this is the surface that we're going to carve into. But the first thing that we do is we have to come up with an idea. We're going to do that on plain white sheet of paper. And since this is the size that you will make your carving, we're going to take this, we're going to trace it, and then we're going to draw something in there. Just like that. So now I'm going to spend a couple minutes. I'm going to time travel into the future, actually, from your perspective, and I'll have something drawn on this. And there you have it. As with most things, my inspiration is a drum. Here's an abstract kind of version of a snare drum, a couple drumsticks, and these little triangles to imply that there's noise coming out of this thing. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to time travel again, and I'm going to color in everything that is going to be printed. So I'm going to use my ebony pencil, and I'm going to shade this stuff in so that it's good. I want this to look like my print is going to look. And here we have it. So there's a couple things that I want to point out. First is these little pencil lines right here. I'm not going to this, and this. I'm not going to carve that. There's actually this, so this skinny, fat, skinny, all four of these are going to be just one shape. And the other thing is here, I drew these lines, but that means that when I carve this, I'm going to carve everything that's white. So when I transfer this image to this, I'm going to have to make sure that I leave just 3 little slivers uncarved. So that is a spot that could easily be a mess up for me when I take this to my pad. So what I'm going to do now, because I used an ebony pencil, a 6B, a very soft lead, to color this all in. You notice I didn't do a good job coloring. Don't judge. This is just a roadmap. Nobody's going to see this except, well, I mean, everybody on the internet who watches this is going to see this. But when I'm done, when you're done, when you do this, you throw this away. You don't want anybody to know your secrets. This is my roadmap. This is just for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this on here. I'll show you. So and then I can just take the back of the ebony pencil. You can use a marker if you want, and I'm just going to kind of press and go back and forth, kind of scribbling. And this is only going to put, so I missed some spots, but that's enough for me to see what I'm doing. Okay, so I can go back through this. I can go over this with a Sharpie, clean these edges up. Stay right here. All right. So I can go over with a Sharpie and I can clean my roadmap up. Now it is flipped. I'll show you what I mean. So on this, when I drew my image, I put it's called a throw off. It's a little lever that makes the snares go on and off. But anyways, on my image here that I drew, the throw off is on this side, and on this one you can see that it's a mirror image. It's flipped. So for this, it's not very important. It doesn't really matter what side the throw off is on. But if you do letters, if you do words, when it's on here, it's going to be backwards. So when you write it this way, I'll show you. Let's say we want to do the word art. And you want to do bubbles. You want to do thick shapes, because like those wires that are underneath those skinny little lines, I told you earlier, that's going to be a problem area for me. And it could end up being a mistake later on, because it's such a small thing to do. So I'm doing this quick. So do the word art, right? And here's another thing to keep in mind. So if you screw up on this side, hey, you can always flip it and work from this side. So I've got the word art, and I'll show you. I'm going to flip this. So I'm going to print the word art. On the back. You can see it's flipped. This camera's weird. Yeah, anyways, so this is a mirror image of this. So now you got to get to the carving spot. So I'm going to finish going over this in Sharpie, and then I'll show you how to use this little guy. So there we go. That's the Sharpied in. So now I'm ready to start carving. So when I carve, there's a couple different blades I can use. So this thing, it's kind of like an X-Acto knife, and you can like loosen that up. And then there are these different shaped blades. So for doing real small, skinny lines, there's this. For scooping out big sections, there's this. This one's got, it's kind of squared off. It's not rounded. So if you have to like get right next to a real clean line, you can do that. That's actually the blade that I'm going to start with. And you just, I'll show you. There's like a little, so there's that big one, and then if I rotate it this way, there's this little one. And you can see how there's like, maybe you can see it. So there's half, so on the left side, there's the ball bearing, the ball in there. Oh, there it is. It's kind of like a tongue on one side. So this, not the blade end, but this end actually slides in. My fingers are too fat. Like it goes in between it goes in between that tongue and the ball, and then you just tighten it down. So you do want to be careful with this. These are sharp. Lots of people cut themselves with these. So one of the things, a couple of the things that you want to keep in mind. So first of all, on this, you notice that I didn't really do that good of a job coloring in my triangles. It's really not that big of a deal, but over here it kind of is. So by coloring it in, I get a good idea of what my print is going to look like. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to go straight down, and I'm going to stop right there. So a trick that I can do, I can actually use an X-Acto knife, and I'll make a small cut. Right, so X-Acto knives also work for this. You know what? I'll do that at the top too. Now you notice I don't have a cutting mat underneath this. It's because I'm not going all the way through. So when I cut, you can use the palm of your hand. I like to use the web of my thumb, and then I'm going to make sure that don't hold it like this and cut towards your hand, because for sure you're going to cut yourself that way. And then also I'm going to cut away from my image. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go away, and then when I do this side, I'm actually going to come up. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to rotate it. So there we go. And again, I want to make sure that my fingers stay out of the way. Now the texture that you leave, like these cuts, these grooves, I'll show you. Let's see, so I'll carve around this sound triangle here. So this is all going to be removed. This blade's kind of dull. Much better. So carving away from my image, and then like you can see that there's a texture here that's being left. That's not going to print. That's only going to print. So I'll show you, if you want a texture like that to print, you actually have to leave you actually have to leave some space. So I'm not overlapping my cuts. So these cuts, I'll show you. So that would actually print like this, which in some cases it's kind of cool. You get that texture like that. So, I mean, if you want something like that, that's possible. So that's how you start cutting. And then next, let's move over to the printing station. Let's print something. Show you how to roll out your ink. Follow me. All right, so here we are at the printing station. What we need 2 brayers. We need our pad. Now this is a different one. This is somebody else carved this, so I'm just going to use this to demonstrate. We need a foam plate. We need some paper to print on, and we're going to use this pad as a printing surface. So the first thing we're going to do is take a spoon, take the ink. Now please, please, please don't contaminate. Use the back of the spoon to scoop a portion of this out, and just spread a layer across the top. Just like that. Place the cap back on the ink. Put the spoon off to the side. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the brayer and I'm going to kind of pull this ink down into the tray. And the reason I don't take the spoon and just slather on a layer of ink is because if I do that, there's going to be a whole lot of wasted ink. This helps preserve these materials. So I don't need and if there's too much on here, then your roller gets all gloopy and glumpy. So I'm going to roll a nice smooth smooth out that ink. So I'll put my lino cut, my pad, I'll put that down, and I'm going to roll the ink right across here, just like that. And now I'm going to take my paper, I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to use my other brayer and I'm going to press it into the paper. And there you have it. And now I still have some ink on there, so I can actually print more than once. So you can see it lightens up, and it gets a little bit of a different, you get some different textures in there depending on how much ink is on the ink pad. Now, when I'm done printing, make sure your name gets put on this, and have fun with this. You can, I've got some old dictionaries in the back. You can use those to print on. It's kind of cool to print on like dictionary pages and stuff like that. But the most important thing is, before any of this stuff dries, these two things, and don't forget the spoon, go wash them with water. It's water soluble. It cleans up really easily. The roller is messy at first when you're cleaning it, but it'll all clean right up. But make sure, please, don't leave this stuff to dry, because if it dries, it's going to ruin. So make sure you clean up your mess after you're done printing, but go ahead and have fun with it. So good luck, and ask me if you need any help or if you have any questions.